Golden Shield is a company. We're about 2 years old. We're located in southern Guyana. Just as a review of Guyana, what attracted me to our Marudi project, which is our primary project in Guyana, is it's high grade and it's in Guyana, which is a very friendly, stable jurisdiction for mining. There's a number of mines there, including Zijin's Aurora mine, and there's been a number of others. It's very, very workable, English-speaking, English-based law. And Marudi itself is road accessible. It had a pre-existing resource, about $40 million worth of work spent on it, and numerous targets, and really we felt there was a lot to do there from an exploration point of view. Golden Shield at the moment has 65 million shares outstanding, around about 100 million shares fully diluted. We have about $1.5 million in the bank, which means we're fully funded for the 3,000 meter diamond drill program we have underway at the moment. In fact, started just this week. This is kind of a recap on the founders slide, where the Guyana Shield is the same rocks as West Africa. They were just separated when the Atlantic Ocean opened up. The West African site, the area-wise, they're kind of similar, but at West Africa, there's been 275 million ounces of gold discovered, whereas on the Guyana Shield, there's only 125 million ounces been discovered. And we think the reason for that is primarily because on the Guyana side, you have a saprolite cover, which is a bit harder to explore through. And it also doesn't have such good infrastructure. So Marudi Mountain is in the south of Guyana. Most of the other prominent gold deposits and projects are in the north of Guyana. We're in a greenstone belt that isn't as well understood as the two in the north, which we see as a real advantage. We've learned a lot at Marudi Mountain, and we're beginning to apply that throughout the belt. And we have applications for more projects in that belt, where essentially we have no competitors right now. So just zooming in on Marudi Mountain, this is the concession. It's about 5 kilometers by 10 kilometers rectangle. We did some drilling at the Mazoa Hill project. When the company started, our best drill intercept was 50 meters at 9.1 grams. We had 9.75 meters at 11.9 grams in a coherent zone. And below and stepping out on a historic open pit resource of around about 350,000 ounces. So we came to the project, as Eric said, people had zoomed in on Mazoa Hill, and that was where the majority of the money had been spent. There was also a resource at Marudi North, which you can see north of that. But not much more work done to generate projects. So the projects you can see as the black dots on the map on the right are all projects that we've generated and have been developing. And one of the issues, as I said here, is the saprolite, which means that the gold can have moved around above the bedrock and also be redistributed. So we bought our own RC rig so we could punch holes through the saprolite and sample the bedrock, and that's what we've been doing systematically on these targets that we generated. So to date, Golden Shield's drilled about 9,000 meters in 32 drill holes at Marudi Mountain. You can see our drill holes are the ones with the black circles around them. As I said, we drilled Mazoa Hill, which is the white cluster. That was in 2022, and then in 2021 we also drilled a project called Toucan, which is the yellow dots just north of that. And there's been a smattering of other drill holes. Some of those are very shallow, but they're all shown in the gray circles. And the cluster that you can see to the northwest of Mazoa Hill is Marudi North, where, as I alluded to, there's also a resource as a kind of steeply dipping slab. And I'll come back to that. So the mineralization style that we're dealing with is banded ironstone formation, which the most prominent deposit in the world is Homestake. The Homestake mine, which was 40 million ounces. Back River is the same deposit style, which is around 7. And there's a few other ones as well. What they tend to be distinctive in is their high grade gold. occurring in a number of ore chutes, and they're really formed as a geochemical trap to a shear zone hosted feeder system. So the fluids come up the shear, and when they hit the banded ironstone formation, the gold precipitates out. So as I alluded to, we've just started a 3,000 meter drill program to step out to depth on Mazoa Hill and test some of the targets we've been generating. So zooming in on Mazoa Hill, this is some of the historic, well, not historic, these are our drill intercepts. As I said before, that's, uniformly high grade. You can see the 50 meters at 9.1, 13 meters at 12, 31 meters at 7.58. It's a high grade shoot, and it's hosted in a hinge zone of an anticline that's been tilted on its side. So the schematic on the left hand side is kind of showing that fat hinge zone, which plunges about 60 degrees to the southeast, and that's why the yellow outcrop that you can see on the geological map disappears. It's because it's plunging off to depth to the south. So what we've done is drill across that in essentially 50 meter step outs, and that's the traces of the holes you can see. One of the things we recognize in that drilling is there's a north-south set of veins that control grade, and there's also an east-west set of veins. So we kind of split the difference to try and cut both with our drilling. But the extent the east-west veins are represented by that is not really clear. So what we plan to do with this hole is drill down the hinge of the anticline and just keep going to depth. So the long section on the right is the historic hole shown in yellow, and our hole shown in red, and the dashed line is the constraining pit on the historic resource. So within that dashed line, you have in an open pit 350,000 ounces, and then you can see we've stepped out another 180, 200 meters to depth, and it's open to depth. So in order to drill this hole, we shipped some more drill rods to site. We have 950 meters of drill rod at site now. We just set up and started drilling. So to scale the 950 meter hole that we're about to drill down the plunge of Mazoa Hill is shown there on the slide on the right. So visually you can see if there's 350 million ounces in the open pit, and then we have the drilling we've done so far, and then we're going to see how far it goes. And the reason for doing this is well, the question has always been, how deep does it go? And the answer is we don't know, because it hasn't been drilled that deep. But from a geological perspective, we have no reason to think it stops. There's no faults or anything mapped there, and it seems to be pretty straight. So this will tell us, it'll give us an indication of what resource might be there, and it'll allow us to budget what it would cost to drill that into an inferred category. So that's the reason for the drilling the hole, and it'll really be an exciting hole and really gives a really good indication of the potential at Mazoa. So that's the first hole of the program. As I said, we've had our RC rig busy testing some of the other targets we identified, and the three it tested in the last half of last year was IP6, which you can see right there next to Mazoa Hill, Marudi North, and Pancake Creek to the south of Marudi North. We haven't got all the results back from Pancake Creek. That's the one that looks the best from the surface sampling. In some results we've had back, we see a coherent zone, but we're waiting to see how big that is and where the highest grade parts of it are. Marudi North, from historic drilling there, we've extended that zone to the west, and we have some follow-up diamond drilling to do there. So in short, what we're going to do is drill the deep hole at Mazoa Hill, and then move to Marudi North and Pancake Creek, and test those whilst the RC rig continues to prove up the remaining targets on the property. So this is just a graphic of the progress through each prospect. So Mazoa Hill is the most advanced in diamond drill ready. Rudy North, we know where we're going to drill, and that's ready to diamond drill. IP6, we're still looking at that, and we want to go back and maybe do a bit more surface work. And Pancake Creek, we're just putting it together, but from the results we already have, that already looks extremely interesting, and I know we're going to test that target. And the rest we're working on and bringing through to drill stage. And just to touch on our team, Hilbert Shields is a key guy. He founded the company with myself. He was former VP with Golden Star, which, as many of you will remember, found the Omai mine and a number of other mines in the country, and was the largest player in Guyana at the moment. So in terms of operating within the country, he's a real key member of the team. And Alison Redford, who was the former Premier of Alberta, is on our board. Alison's there primarily for the oil and gas in Guyana. She has really good government connections, and she's been very good on the ESG side as well in helping us. This is the last slide, and this is really just to Guyana is a really interesting place. It has a huge oil boom going on at the moment. They have right now about 13 billion barrels of oil discovered in claims owned by Exxon and Chevron now. So it's a small country. It's around about 1 million people, a little less. So from a GDP basis, it's undergoing a huge boom. And the government is putting a lot of that investment back into infrastructure. $30 billion has been committed so far. And a lot of that is going into what they call the road to Brazil, which goes from Georgetown to connect the soy growing fields in Brazil to the port in Georgetown. That goes right by Marudi and right through that southern greenstone belt that we're exploring right now. So that will bring gas, electrical power, and a major highway right through exactly where we're looking in southern Guyana. Thanks very much.